Concussions are quickly becoming the face of professional sport. From the NFL to the NHL to lacrosse, concussions are the injury getting most of the attention these days. According to Tyler Cohen and Kevin Greer, authors of the article, "What Would the End of Football Look Like?" Pre-collegiate football players are sustaining 90,000 or more concussions each year. This issue needs to be addressed at all levels of sport in order to suppress this widespread epidemic of head injuries among athletes of all ages.
So basically, it's a mild brain injury that commonly causes confusion, memory loss, or a headache. Sometimes people pass out. The side effects can lose nausea, memory loss. The long-term effects they're saying now could be linked with depression.
It almost feels like your brain is like just bouncing around in your skull. It's an extreme amount of pain.
So the recommendation is that they should definitely not go back in after the symptoms resolve. Whereas before they used to say that you had your bell rung and then they're like, "I feel better, coach," and they put them right back in. They're realizing that there needs to be a long period of rest period. So that is dependent on every case, it's dependent on every student, and that there should be guidelines that are followed by each coach. So that student should not go back into the game for sure that day, but it needs to be evaluated further by a physician, and then it really depends on if they continue to remain to have a headache or if they have any other neurological deficits that are.
I actually didn't go to the doctors. I actually just because when you go to the doctors for football, you're out for a long time, and us football players, we don't want to be out. So I just listened to what my trainer said, and I just stayed out for about a week or two. And she said when you go in and if you start hitting, and your head is, and you're feeling extreme amounts of pain in your head, you need to sit out for longer. So I mean, it's a week to 2 week process depending on how bad it is. What you want to do is first, you want to sit them down and ask them if they feel alright, and then we usually do like a vision test to watch their eyes. So what you do is you run your finger across their face, and then you tell them to follow your finger, and usually if they've had a pretty bad concussion, their eyes will flutter, like their pupils will move really fast when they're following your eye, like they almost jump, and that usually indicates that they have a concussion. Or you ask them what day it is, where they are, for if they have any memory loss, or if they blacked out for a minute, stuff like that.
So you can think of it as like a bruising the brain, and they can get more, they definitely can cause, we don't know the effects of it, and that's the hard part about concussion, is that it hasn't been studied thoroughly. They're just starting to really identify long-term effects of concussions now. There's a lot of stuff as far as with football, and brain damage and long-term brain damage, whether it be memory loss, depression, anxiety. Those are just kind of things that they're looking into right now, but everything is still kind of gray.
I mean, if you get one, the next one's gonna be easier to get, and so on and so forth, and eventually, I mean, it can lead to death. You can only have so many concussions.
Our coaches certainly aren't, because they're teaching us ways to get around it. However, other coaches are, and I hope that they will stop teaching them the wrong way and start teaching them
What
the
are they
correct
teaching
way.
them?
They're teaching their teams, because if their teams they cannot succeed as in score goals, they decide to turn to a more aggressive side, which includes hitting in the incorrect ways to try to get the good players out.
The thought of concussions are turning away parents whose kids want to play football and steering them towards other sports such as soccer, tennis, or other sports with less contact. The future of the NFL is uncertain with these new concussion findings, but the future of our youth is much more important.